What's going on, guys? Thanks so much for tuning in to part 2 of our IFR course. So we had our beginner, our basic IFR last time. This is more the advanced IFR this time. So this time we'll be picking up an IFR clearance from Toronto departure. Now, Toronto departure was the only one on VATSIM right now, but we still got to pick up our IFR departure. Actually, got mixed up on our departure, our standard instrument departure, SID. We actually filed prop SID because I was flying a prop plane earlier and I just didn't change it up. We switched over to a jet, so we had to change that. So you'll see what happens when if you put in something wrong, how you fix it. It's no big deal. So don't worry about doing something incorrect. ATC is there to help you out, okay? So you'll see how we file, how we accept our clearance, how we fly a departure, which is the big one. Flying a standard instrument departure is what you'll get everywhere across Canada. In the States, it's a little bit different. They kind of baby and tell you exactly what to fly. In Canada, it's implied you've read the standard instrument departure. Both ways work. Both are fine. They're just different ways of doing it. So how to fly a SID, and then what we do is we shoot a pretty cool approach into London. I think you'll like what we do is we do a ILS for runway 15, and then because the winds were favoring 333, I really wanted to shoot an ILS to show you that. So we shoot an ILS into runway 15, and we do a circle to land on runway 33, and probably one of the greasiest landings you'll ever see. So make sure you stick around, you check that out, and let me know what you think. Like, share, comment down below, and let's help you become a better IFR pilot. Let's go. Guys, so now we're in the cockpit of the Cirrus Vision Jet SF50. We've switched over to X-Plane for this one because of Microsoft Flight Simulator doesn't allow us to change the course of an ILS, and I really wanted to shoot an ILS approach for the advanced IFR portion of this. So we've switched over, still using the G1000 system. This one in X-Plane is a little bit more, I'll call study level than the one in Microsoft Flight Simulator, although in Flight Simulator they are making it better. They are slowly getting there, but they're not quite there yet. So anyways, we're here. We're on the ground at North GA parking at Pearce International. We're on VATSIM, and so we're going to speak to a controller because that's another thing. We wanted to make sure that we get a clearance and we're able to talk to them. Now, we're going to lose ATC communications going into London today, but that's fine. We're going to get the gist of it, and the biggest thing is getting that clearance. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to want to do, this isn't going to be too much about how to properly set up the aircraft, but we do need to get it on, and we need to tune to frequency 128.8. Now, I have already picked up the ATIS. It's not working on VATSIM, the audio right now for me, so I'm just picking it up by text. 128.8. Okay.
The Foxtrot, you prefer a full stop, correct?
Affirmative for Hotel Lima Foxtrot.
The Foxtrot, roger, the wind 35, question 30006, clear to land, runway 26.
Clear land, runway 26, Hotel Lima Foxtrot.
And we'll set up this while we wait to make sure that radio is clear for us. So remember, when we're asking for our clearance, we're going to start with who we are. Well, so we're going to say who we're calling. So Toronto, this is departure. Toronto departure. Charlie Golf Papa Delta Whiskey, that's our call sign for today. Our type, Cirrus Vision Jet 50, SF50. Then what we're going to want to do is then say we're looking to pick up our IFR clearance. To, you just say your destination, they obviously know where you are, to London, as filed, with information golf, so whatever the ATIS is. Okay, we want to give them that. It'll say it when you pick up the ATIS to say on first contact, advise that you have information, and then the letter identifier. So here we go. Toronto departure, good afternoon. Charlie Golf Papa Delta Whiskey, Cirrus Vision Jet SF50 at North GA parking, looking to pick up IFR clearance to London as filed with Golf. Now they're going to give it to us in...
Charlie Golf Papa Delta Whiskey, Toronto departures, hello, good afternoon. Stay by.
So they're going to give us a clearance in kind of a pseudo craft mnemonics. So the way that craft works is your clearance limit, routing, frequency, altitude, frequency, transponder. In Canada, we have SIDS, and SIDS eliminate a few of those steps. So you'll hear it here. He's going to say you're cleared via this departure route, this SID, this transition, flight planned route, a frequency, and a transponder code. So we'll see what he says.
Papa Delta Whiskey, the SID that you selected this afternoon is incorrect for way of flight. Or correction, incorrect type is what I'm trying to say. Are you able to accept the mix at 6 Durlo transition?
Yeah, Roger. Sorry, I had that from when I was flying prop the other day. So yeah, mix at 6 Durlo transition. That's fine. So the mix at 6 is the prop version of the Durlo 5.
Roger. One second, I'm going to amend your flight plans here.
Sorry, can you please repeat for Papa Delta Whiskey? I didn't hear what he said.
So, Papa Delta Whiskey, stand by. I'm just going to amend your flight plan here.
Oh, okay, not a problem. Papa Delta Whiskey, thank you. Sorry, I didn't understand what he said there. So what I'm going to do, because he's amending that, we know, since we've already spoke about it, we know that he's going to...
7409, you on my frequency here?
He's going to give us the mix at 6. We don't know the runway yet, so we'll just wait. But it could be 05 or 06 left. I'm going to hope he gives us 05. I'm going to put it in Durlo transition load. We can just load it, that's fine. And now we wait.
Air Canada 4 Bravo Echo, stay passing altitude.
It's a little bit busy today. So what we can look here... So let's go to mix it. So we'll pull up the chart here. I'll put it up. And what we're going to want to do is go through...
Whiskey, you're now clear to London via the mix at 6 departure, Durlo transition, flight plan route. Depart runway 05 and squawk 2277.
Roger, cleared to London Airport via the mix at 6 departure, Durlo transition, flight planned route. We'll depart runway 05 and squawking 2277 for Papa Delta Whiskey.
Papa Delta Whiskey, read back correct. Push start at your own discretion. Information, go. Give me a card to taxi.
We'll talk to you for taxi, Papa Delta Whiskey. Alright, so there we go. We have our clearance. So you're just repeating exactly what he says, word for word. Don't change it. Don't change the order. Put everything exactly how they say it. Write it down. I write it down every time. I've seen some people do it without writing down. Don't do that. It's not worth it. Okay, so now we have that in. Okay, next thing that we have to do is we have to look at two things. One is on our back to our departure chart, we have to look at the mix at departure. So we had Pemba, but that was incorrect. So we want to go to mix it. So let me just get it here. So we got mix at 6, mix at 6. So we need to maintain 5,000. So let's set our altitude to 5,000. We're going off runway 5. So we need to maintain a minimum climb gradient of 360 feet per nautical mile. So 360 feet per nautical mile at 140 knots. We need to be able to climb at least at 840 feet per minute. Okay, which we can attain on this aircraft, so that's good. We can fly this departure. So we need to fly that to 2,700 feet. Depart runway 5 climbing 057 degrees to 1,000, then left hand turn to 047 degrees. So we're gonna put 047 degrees in here. So we're all set up now. Now 05, okay, winds they're not gonna be too much different when we get into London. So we're going to expect, we have runway 15, we have runway 33, we're probably going to expect runway 09. However, we want to do an ILS, so So if winds here are 350, let's go ILS runway 33. I believe 33 has an ILS. It might not be. It might be an NDB. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to hit the ILS for runway 15, circle to land, okay? So it'll be a little bit different. It'll be a really cool approach. Okay, so we're ready here. Here's our beauty plane for today. We're going to make a right-hand turn out of here, and we'll meet over there for the taxi. Departure, Papa Delta Whiskey, ready for taxi 05.
Delta Whiskey, altimeter 3036, taxi Kilo Juliet, cross runway 15 right, hold short 05.
Roger, Kilo Juliet, cross 15 right, 15 right, and hold short of 05, Papa Delta Whiskey. So, we gotta make sure we go right. Okay, that's where our airport is, or that's where our airport, jeez. That's where our runway is, right? So here, I'm just gonna stop here for a sec. See how you got Juliet there? That's showing us that this taxiway is Juliet. So because he said Juliet, we want to make a right-hand turn on Juliet. Okay, we're on Kilo currently. Right onto Juliet, and that will take us right to 05. Alright guys, so we're coming up to 15 right here. We do have clearance to cross it, so we can cross it. If we didn't, we would have to stop there and get further clearance. Remember that, okay?
The wind 35007, clear for takeoff runway 05. Call me airborne.
Clear for takeoff runway 05, we'll talk to airborne, Papa Delta Whiskey. Okay, so we have our clearance, our strobe light is on, engine instruments are in the green. Make sure that we get our flaps set here. Gear lever is down. And full throttle. Airspeed's coming alive. $80 knots. Rotate. Tap the brakes. Gears up. And safe altitude. Flaps will come up. Airspeed checks. Departure Papa Delta Whiskey passing 1100.
Delta Whiskey identified. Turn right. Direct mobile on course.
Right, direct mobile on course, Papa Delta Whiskey. So we have 6,000 Papa Delta Whiskey. So we have 6,000 now, which is great. So here's our autopilot setup here. So let's go heading mode. Let's go vertical speed. So let's turn that down. And let's just turn that on for now. Okay. Then we go flight plan. We'll actually use this side, it's better. Click. Mobile. Direct to. Activate. Then we come down here and we click navigation mode and it'll capture. See, if you watched the basic video and we were doing things like this, remember I couldn't hit that direct to. I'd have to key everything and it was really slow. This is how it actually operates in the real world. So it's really nice. So we can close that flight plan there. Airspeed's good. intercept our GPS track here. And we're coming through the clouds. Let's get our
Air Canada 454 for taxi.
ice protection on here because it's the winter time. And Probe Heat's gonna go on.
Air Canada 454, hello, the altimeter 3036, taxi Alpha Kilo Bravo Delta.
So we're at 6,000. We should see that vertical speed decreasing. Perfect. Airspeed's increasing. We're at 90% in run right now.
Alpha Kilo Bravo
Go to our cruise power. We'll keep it a little higher today. We'll keep it at 80% roughly.
454.
So ILS runway 15. So if you take a look at this chart, we're going to do a quick briefing. So we follow the mnemonic.
Whiskey, turn right, direct ankle on course.
Right, direct to ankle on course, Papa Delta Whiskey. So now we go to ankle, direct to the D with the arrow, activate. It'll automatically, see how easy that is? It's so much easier when the system's working properly. So now we got this. Now I'm gonna throw in the procedure here. This is another thing. See, select approach. Clear. Gotta just change this. Clear. Clear. We gotta go to our flight plan. And I just gotta type in, we didn't type in our destination. So CYX and U. Enter. So that'll just follow after our departure there. But when I go to procedures and I click arrival, approach, now it's going to give me London one. So we'll go ILS runway 15. When we go there, we can look at what we're coming from the east. Okay, we're coming from the east, the south, or kind of the northeast. So Alexi is going to be the right transition initial approach fix. So we'll just select that now. This is another thing we couldn't do. See, we couldn't do the minimums. Here we can. Our minimums right down here at the bottom. So 1,112. Okay, we can't put 1,112 in there, right? It goes by tens. So we go 1,120. We go up, not down. Okay. Enter. We'll just load it. That's another thing. See, it's just loaded. It's not activated. Okay, so when we come over here to the flight plan, see, it's here, but it's not going to fly it. Okay, so we just stay here. Okay, so he's going to hand us off probably to Unicom shortly. And then we will fly this in. But first thing that we're going to go over is the mnemonic for doing our briefing, our approach briefing. Okay, so we use a mnemonic called AMORTS. AMORTS stands for approach. So ILS runway 15 into London. We also check that the charts are current. Okay, M, minimums. So there's a few different things for minimums. We went over the minimums here for the ILS is 1,112. Now we did say that we're going to be circling, so we need to use the minimums of 1420.
Toronto departure, good morning.
Okay, so that's really important to remember. We need to be up a little bit higher. Okay, so that's our minimums for the landing, but however, there's minimums along the way. In this sector here, it's 3,000 feet. We have to be above 3,000. Alexi, we need to be above 3,000. And then 3,000 between there and Tudor. And we need to be above 2,100 at Itlol. So below 3,000, above 3,000, and above 2,100 at Itlol. Okay. So that we have our approach, our minimums. O would be our overshoot procedure. So down here, missed approach, climb to 4,000, heading of 148 degrees, expect vectors. Okay, easy enough. R is our radios and radials. So radio, we're going to be on just Unicom probably. I don't think he'll keep us all the way, but we'll say Unicom. Our localizer is here, 109.5. So we have to put that into our nav section here. So 109.5, and we put that in. So now we have our radio set, our radial set. Now we don't have the approach course in. So how we do that, we got to go over to heading mode. So we just click heading. I centered it by clicking the heading, centered it. Now our nav source here, see how this is on GPS? We need that to change for a bit. So we go to CDI localizer 1, which puts us onto the nav 1. And we're going to change our course to 148 degrees as per the chart. Okay, so we'll go this way, 148 degrees. Okay, so that's set up. We can go back to GPS and we can rearm our navigation. Okay, so now we have our radios. Our radials, T is for timing. So timing could be something, if it's a DME approach, you'll see time stamps along this section of the chart. There's no timing really that we need. We could time our descent, time things like that, but it's not really prevalent here. S is for safety, and safety would be, if we are worried about icing, if we're worried about obstacles, if it's a weird approach, an unorthodox approach, if it's a general aviation, I might say, hey,
infantry transfer is offline. No further ITC is available. Radar sources are terminated. We'll see you next time. A good flight.
Roger, over to Unicom. Thanks so much for your service. Have yourself a great night. Papa Delta Whiskey.
Good day.
Okay, so there we go. Now we're over to Unicom. So let me just take a look at where we're at. We've been gabbing here. So we are currently 10 miles from Ankle, and our approach. You know what? We're just going to go right to, we're going to activate our approach right now. So we can just scroll up here and go activate approach. And we'll just fly our approach now. So we're still 63 nautical miles from Alexei, but we're just going to fly a little bit more direct to it, save us some time. Okay. So back to our thing, our safety. We may safety brief. Hey, on an overshoot, this is what would happen. Nothing to worry about, but I'm going to go full throttle. We're going to go around, just try it again. Now, the one thing that we're going to talk about on this one is because it's a ILS runway 15 circle to land, it's a little bit different. We're going to take the approach down to 1420, okay? Once we get to 1420, we'll level off and we'll fly a normal circuit pattern like in VFR, okay? That could be used for, let's say you were flying IMC into somewhere and all they had was an ILS, but you're not landing runway 15, we'll have a complete tailwind or whatever, right? There's a better option. As long as you keep the runway in sight, okay, the runways have to remain in sight the entire time. You could pick any runway you want, fly that approach to the minimums, you see the runway, you could fly right over the runway. Like, there's no VFR traffic pattern, nothing. Just fly it, keep that runway in sight, and land the airplane safely, okay? You're not going to really see that in an airline, so to speak, because they're flying at airports where they have multiple ILSs, multiple RNAV approaches, whatever, and they'll just pick whatever is best suited for them. But if you're flying in general aviation, you could run into that sometimes where an airport has one approach. That could be ILS, it could be RNAV, it could be NDB, it could be DME. There's so many different approaches that it could be, and you may need to use that circle to land on the right runway. So before we commit to anything though, I'm just going to do a quick check on our weather, which is going to be through my Swift. And CYXU will get a METAR. 3034 is the altimeter, so we'll set that now. And it's given me a variable winds 280 to 350 at 7 knots. Okay, so it's variable, but at 7 knots. All right. So we are going to continue doing the ILS runway 15, and we're going to circle the land and pick the best runway. Now, what is the best runway? How do we figure that out? Now, if you're flying IFR, you should probably know how to pick a runway at this point. But if you don't, the wind, so 280 and 250, they're giving you the wind, the direction that the wind is coming from, right? And whereas when we're flying, we want to land into the wind, so we want to be facing that direction. So it's really simple. So let's say hypothetically there was a runway 35 and the winds are 350. You'd want to pick that runway because that means you have a direct headwind. That's ideal, right? Now this is variable 280 to 350. So our runways into London, we have runway 15, okay? So let's write that down. We have runway 15. We have runway 33. We have runway 09. We have runway 27. So those are 4 runways. They have kind of like they're kind of an intersect, like not exactly 90, but about, you know, kind of like a 45 there. So which runway are we going to pick? Would we be wrong if we said runway 27? Would we be wrong runway 33? No. So that's kind of right in the middle of our variable winds. However, there's going to be one thing that we got to look for. Now, being a small plane, we can land on pretty much anything. At London, one of the runways is 8,800 feet. The other one is 6,300 feet. Both are ample amount of runway space for us. But the runway 33 is longer. Okay? So 1533 is longer. Okay, guys, now we're coming up to the top of descent. You can see our FMC here, our G1000 is actually picking up proper descent rate and everything for our approach. So we're just going to activate our approach down here. We're going to set our altitude down to 3,000 feet, and let's see if it captures it. It might not. Let's see. Once this carrot here, we call that a carrot, once that lines up, it should theoretically put us into a descent. Let's see, it might not. It's kind of oscillating. This is a X-Plane thing. It'll do this little oscillation. So we just kick it off. Kick off the autopilot. We set our descent. And we just allow it to catch up. So throttle back. Throttle way back. We're getting lots of speed here. Yeah, see this oscillation we got going on here? So we're going to kick off the autopilot. And we're going to stop the oscillation. Okay, then we're going to re-engage the auto. Where we'll go, put our vertical speed on, GPS, and autopilot will engage. That should stop that oscillation that we were getting there. Okay, so we'll go back to our flight plan here. I'm just going to go out on our range. So as you can see, we're coming up here to our initial approach fix, okay? So once we hit our initial approach fix, which is Alexei, then we will, so we could follow what the chart says about how to do this approach, or we could just, like, you want to know that, but we can let the GPS do its thing, okay? So we know that at Alexei, we need to be above 3,000 feet. Okay? Need to be above 3,000 feet. So let's just continue here. We have 3,000 set here because we don't want to go below 3,000. Okay. We can activate our approach mode. Approach mode's up there. Actually, you know what? We're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to do it a little bit differently because I want to show capturing in ILS. Okay, so we're not going to do it through the GPS. Because if we do it in approach mode, all it's going to do is it's going to follow the... It could hop over to the ILS, but it's probably just going to follow the RNAV approach because there's a GPS overlay on all the ILS approaches. Okay, so we're not going to do that. We're going to do this OG style. So as soon as we make this turn from Olexi, I'm going to go into heading mode. And we're going to capture an ILS, okay? So we're just about at 3,000 feet. We're going to level off there. Then we're going to capture the ILS, and we'll allow that to take us down on the glide path, okay? We'll pull back our power. Definitely don't need that much power. See, we can see here this prescribed, the carried here, this prescribed descent. We're a little bit below it. That's okay. That's just trying to have a consistent descent from where we were at 6,000 feet down to the runway. Okay, that's what that's calculated. We can follow that. We don't have to follow that. We just have to go by the chart, and we can't go below the minimums on the chart. So 3,000 feet, perfectly okay right here. Going to do a left-hand turn to 237 degrees. I'm going to set this up to 237, so it's already done. You can see now the carrot. See how it just left? We've started our approach now. We're going to go power up a little bit. I wanted to let our speed come down a bit before we added power. Normally, the best practice, as soon as you're about to level out, just before, start adding power. But I wanted that airspeed to come down, bleed a little bit of the energy. You can see how fast our airspeed climbs, right? It's a very powerful airplane. Okay, so now we have our heading. We'll match it, click heading mode, and then we're gonna hit this CDI button. And now you can see, because remember we set it up earlier, right? This is why we stay ahead. CYXU is our localizer, and it's out to our left. That makes sense, right? Runway's out to the left. It hasn't captured it yet. That's why this is saying no GS, no glide slope. Okay, you can see it's kind of coming in there, but we'll see at the top a diamond will appear. Once that diamond appears, we've captured the glide slope. Essentially how we want to do this is, if this is our airplane and this is the glide slope, we want the glide slope to be above us while we're flying, and then we meet it and come down, okay? So we don't want to be above it because then we have to nosedive to meet it. So we stay at our altitude that we want, glide slope comes down, we intercept, and then continue down, okay? So this should come alive here. Okay, you'll see the localizer, we'll put it on approach mode. You'll see it will start coming alive here in just a sec. I sure hope so. Let's help it out here and start this turn, because that's going to come in fast. Okay. Now you saw that diamond there, okay? So we're going to burn through it just a little bit here, which isn't ideal. However, the way that they have this set up, that was pretty sensitive for being this far out. We shouldn't have been able to blow through it that quickly, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll swing back around. We have approach mode. It's actually captured the localizer anyways. The reason why you don't want to blow through it is because you go into unprotected airspace beside you. Okay, we didn't completely go full deflection. We're pretty darn close. However, we'll be okay. So let's see if it captures it this time. Because what can happen is if you're too close, because it's a radio wave that comes out, it's not GPS. GPS, it's precise, it would just follow it. A GPS would have made that turn way earlier. But these radio waves are coming back, okay? And as soon as it picks that up, then it turns towards it, right? But if you're too close, those radio waves come out like a cone, and you'll S through it. Your plane will never be able to find it. It'll keep going like this, and that's how you'll make your way down, which is unideal. So now you can see this diamond. It's coming between this dot and the line here. So as soon as it meets the midway point, so just about now, we're going to set our throttle for descent. Okay. We'll set it to 30%. 30%. Might be a little slow. We might have to adjust. I don't know the exact numbers for this aircraft. Okay. And we can get ourselves up ready for approach. So we'll put our 50 flaps in. It's a lot of flaps in this airplane, so it might be a little too much for us. So we might have to add some power. You can see how that nose drops. When you put the flaps down, you're adding lift. So it allows you that nose to get down more and not sacrifice your airspeed. Okay, it gives you a better visual. Okay, so more lift, slower stall speed, plus better visual. London traffic, Charlie Golf Papa Delta Whiskey is a Cirrus Vision Jet SF50. We are currently on the ILS for runway 15. We'll be doing a circle to land runway 33. We're expecting the field in approximately 3 minutes. London traffic. In Canada, you don't actually have to add that at the end of London traffic or whatever, but keep people happy here. And CFVPF. So that's just saying that we're getting slow and we don't have our gear down. Okay. So do you remember what it was? 1420 is what we had to, was our circling minimums. Okay. So at 1500, which is what we'll do now, we'll pop the autopilot off. We don't need that anymore, right? We're past that at this point. So we're at 1500 feet. We have the runway in sight. We're at 133 knots, so we're at a good airspeed. We're gonna break it off, we're gonna level up. Okay, add a little bit of power because we're not descending anymore. Break off to the right. Remember to keep that runway in sight the entire time. A little bit more power, keep that speed up. 130 knots is fine. Around the 100 knots will be our VREF speed, our short final speed. London traffic, Charlie Golf Papa Delta Whiskey is now circling to land, runway 33 in London. Okay, so he's short. So we're right at that at 1500 feet here. So we're a little bit higher than the minimums, but that's fine. We can be anything as long as we keep everything in sight. It's a VFR day, we're fine. Okay. Now we're gonna want a little bit. We're pretty tight here. Okay, so we're gonna want a little bit more room. So let's make our way out to the right here. We're coming across our touchdown point. Let's see how we can do that. I haven't played around with this aircraft too much. Let's try to hit these big markers here. Okay, the touchdown markers. We'll aim to hit those. We'll aim to round out around the numbers and land on that. Let's see how we do, okay? Let's say this. If I do that, even if you didn't like this video, you have to subscribe. How's that sound? All right. So because we're at that we're beam our touchdown point, we're gonna put our gear down. Bring our speed up just a bit here. Allow our nose to come down a touch. We're gonna have added drag. And our touchdown zone elevation here, if I'm not mistaken, is about 900 feet. Yeah, 912, okay. So we're below 1,000 feet anyways. We're good. We can make this turn in now. I'm just gonna move my head up here. Oh, we're not gonna see it anyways. Blocked out by the B pillar. We'll just keep it going right around. It'll be runway 33. Keep that turn nice and tight. Pick up the runway. There's our runway. And we're at about 100 knots here. Okay, we're a little high. Last set of flaps here. Okay, get that nose down. London traffic. Papa Delta Whiskey is on a 3-mile final for runway 33. Full stop. We're 500 feet. We can get that power up. We're sinking down to about 90 knots, which is okay. We want to hit those markers. That's the key here. Okay, trim it out. I've trimmed calibrated onto or set for right on my thumb here. If you could put that helps out so much. Okay, we're good. Remember, those winds are variable. Coming from the left. Bit of crosswind inputs. Aim for the numbers. We aim to flare at the numbers. We keep that power on to slow our descent rate. Okay. And we round at the numbers. Keep it coming down. Keep it coming down. Don't land the airplane. Don't let it touch. Oh, a little past. That buttery, boys and girls. Butter. All right. Flaps up, aerodynamic braking. Let's get off here. Let the Cessna get on the runway. All right, we're going to be clear at hotel. So once we cross these lines here, London traffic, Papa Delta Whiskey is clear of runway 33. Enjoy your flight, buddy. Departure must have been watching. That's great. All right, guys, that's it. That's it. That's all. It's not that hard. It's a lot of fun. You can have a lot of fun with some IFR flying there. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it.